This is the first point, because the last Eurobarometer we made shows that people are not well informed and want to be informed, and it will create trust and self-resilience as well. And so anticipating is also about being more proactive, because since the COVID-19 and even before, we have always reacting to hazards and crises. And now the purpose is to anticipate them. And for that we need to have a good picture, a good overview of the different risks we are facing today. And it's about exchanging information, intelligence, also coordinate better the different tools and infrastructures we have been creating. Since 2002, we have creating this UCPM mechanism, which is a wonderful mechanism of solidarity based on Article 47 and Article 222, which are clearly solidarity and assistance among the member states, but broader as well, as we have 27 member states who collaborate together, plus 10, plus other countries. We have agreement with Latin American countries, with Asian countries, and I have a map. I can distribute them after. And we have activated this mechanism, UCPM mechanism, 10 times more the last years than at the beginning of the century. So it shows the needs also, because the risks that we are facing today are more and more unpredictable and bigger as well. The best example was the pandemic, of course, the COVID-19 and the war in our continent. And so it's about a better coordination to know also who does what by when. And this is also unclear. This is something we need to reinforce at the European level. This is the second point. The third point is to localize and to maintain the functioning of our critical and vital infrastructures, as you have in the ports. You know, we have also, the port is certainly one of the vital infrastructures, but also we have the hospitals, the roads, but also communication channels and so on. So a lot of things need to be identified, and we need to keep them alive, if I say so, during a crisis. And we have 7 points, and I'm not going to continue because it's going to take time, and 30 actions, concrete actions that I will present in a couple of days. As you know, normally on Wednesday, I will present this new preparedness strategy. And since the start of my mandate, I have been traveling, visiting different countries. I've been in Ukraine, in Poland, even in Bangladesh, where I saw also example of training in a school. And I visited our rescue capacities, which are our storage capacities disseminated in different parts of the world. It's not only in Europe. And at the beginning, to give you an example, it was only about wildfires, containing wildfires, then floods, and then chemical projects, CBRN threats. And now we are going to create a field hospital and so on. It's about also upgrading exchange of information by satellite with our Copernicus satellite, but also Galileo, which by the end of the year will be able to communicate directly, to allow the member states to communicate by satellite in an early warning system. So, you know, it's a very complete, but you have in, I will say, in miniature what we are trying to do. That's why I've been visiting many projects, many critical centers, and of course the Port of Antwerp is a perfect example, considering, yes, the Seveso enterprises that are here nearby, but also the power plant, Doels, also, yes, mobility, military mobility, and the fact that you are nearby a city of 500,000 inhabitants. So all these inputs. You know, these items are very critical and are a good example of what we need and how to create, yes, awareness among our citizens, but also a good chain of comments between the different authorities.
Thank you. Any reactions from the governor?
Oh, we fully agree. I think, as I mentioned also, and I think, first of all, thank you for coming to Antwerp. And as you just mentioned, I think the port of Antwerp is indeed the place with a very highly critical and strategic infrastructure, and it is the ideal place to exchange ideas on threats and how do we deal with threats in this unpredictable geopolitical tension and very evil and the complex situation. I have just one message that I really want to share with you, and I just address also some other things. But the key message and also call to action are please keep emphasizing the benefits of working with existing strong networks and building on the foundation already in place, because we have the fire department and also the military department and so on. So we have the disciplines of emergency planning and emergency planning and crisis management. So building on those, what's already there and on that foundation is very important, I think. And in your strategy, I hope it's also important. And you also mentioned the risk awareness in our and among our population and the citizens. Well, engaging as many people as possible is one challenge, but ensuring their coordinated and effective cooperation is what made the difference. It's not just awareness, that is the starting point, but also involving the people, knowing the risks, understanding the risk, but also be part of the solution and know how to deal with the new threats. I think that's of a major importance. And as mentioned, I think the fire brigade and the civil protection can and will always remain highly valuable partners in this regard. I just mentioned what I was doing, and what I'm doing already is, together with my Federal Emergency Planning Service, we are now strongly committed to an in-depth exercise involving all disciplines and emergency planning and various stakeholders regarding the implementation of the Belgium National Risk Assessment in and for the province of Antwerp, in line with the EU decision on European Civil Protection Mechanism and your mechanism. And additionally, together with all our mayors and the fire brigade, among others, we are investing in increasing citizen engagement as a necessary component of socially embedded resilience strategy. Starting with, as I mentioned, the strengthening, as you mentioned, a realistic risk awareness, not causing panic, but a realistic risk awareness. So fortunately, the Province Safety and Security Cell of Antwerp, we already took two, I think, important steps. And the first is, and also Carina will address on that, the Special Emergency and Intervention Plan for flooding has been finalized. So the threat to peace, as we are now focused on so much, and you also mentioned it, Niels, must not blind us to the impact of extreme weather events caused by climate disruption and biodiversity loss. And the major step too is the Special Emergency and Intervention Plan multi-sites. It's actually the first of the kind in our country, and that Special Emergency Intervention Plan multi-site has been approved, and it provides an answer to the long-standing question: how do we organize ourselves when confronted with multiple impacted areas due to a single or to multiple incidents, resulting in complex simultaneity of multitude of dilemmas. So when you have like a cascade of impacts, so when you have a major issue with the provision of energy and so on, it has a major impact also on road safety, the tunnels, the pumps, and so on. So if you have a flooding together with a lack of energy, then the risk of huge inundation is immense. And also, how do people can reach the emergency services? They might have some panic. They also have like some disinformation, and then it can really undermine your society. And so multi-site incidents and also the impact and the working together, but also implies how do we organize ourselves? We are used to the fact that you have an incident on one place and all the emergency planning, and we have a cell and everybody comes together, but it doesn't work when it affects many areas around, or when you have a multiple or a multitude of incidents, then you have to think ahead, how do you organize yourself to make sure that you can also tackle those dilemmas. Well, I have a long speech, but I think it's not the place to just deliver everything. But what I really wanted to say is that we really also for, engaging people, being part of the solution. The biggest demand is work further on what's already happening and existing, in the sense that also our fire brigade and the civil protection are crucial partners in that resilience. And we see it also in Ukraine, what's happening there. Of course, the emphasis is very focused on the military force, but also firefighters play a fundamental role in working with the civilians to limit the damage. When we see the recent disasters, such as the floods in the Weser Valley and the West Hook, well, they demonstrated the importance of the fire brigade rapid and large-scale deployment. In the West Hook, for instance, 500 firefighters were deployed from across Flanders every day for several weeks. So no other emergency service in Belgium, including the military, is currently capable of sustaining such an effort for such an extended period. Well, we have 18,000 firefighters, so they are immediately deployable across Belgium. And as mentioned, there is that significant movement throughout Europe to put focus on the resilience and endeavors to better involve citizens in emergency response as that essential part of security strategies. And as mentioned, we firmly believe that such involvement should be embedded with each member state in the existing safety security architecture. As mentioned, I think in all the countries of Europe, so the 27, but also the countries of the European Economic Area, they have that system of widely distributed and decentralized fire stations in nearly every municipality. The presence is not enough, but that existing structures, the logistics, experience, expertise in managing volunteers, provide, in my eyes, the best leverage of involving more citizens in emergency planning, crisis management, recovery, and rehabilitation in an accessible measure. So also in the Netherlands, they have the plan to make sure that in every fire station, 25 citizens volunteers are engaged. So in full capacity, that means 25,000 volunteers working closely together with the fire brigade. I think that's a good example. And it's also at a low cost, because it costs only 25,000 per station. So that means 25 million. Well, if you compare that to the added value, I think it's very easy to do so and to think, well, that's a no-brainer, I should think. And I think in Belgium, as you know, we have a similar network of fire stations. So I hope that it will be a way to deal with it and to use that also with... just one more, and I just end by saying, let's us integrate volunteers into the existing emergency response structure, enhance their added value, to make sure that we have a good volunteer corps. And so just to conclude, as I mentioned, keep on emphasizing of the benefits of working with existing networks and building on the foundation already in place. And you see we have an ecosystem in Antwerp, in the port of Antwerp, and I think we should use it for the entire province and for many other places in Belgium to just go on the strength we is already there, not finding out something new, but just continue to work like this. So that's in a certain word.
But I didn't want to be too long, and I didn't mention all the lists because it's 30 actions in 7 different levels. But I can reassure you, first of all, to build on what is already existing. This is exactly what we are going to do, and this is also the conclusion of the minister report. It was very interesting. I met him before he released his report, and his first advice was saying, don't invent things. We have already all what we need at the national, regional, local level, but also at the European level.
Absolutely.
Because we have, for instance, rescue, and we have ERCC, which is our emergency center. And the fact is how to coordinate in a better manner, how to work, how to know who does what by when. And this is the key.
Yes.
And to have a clear chain of commands,
Mm-hmm.
and to know, how to deal with a crisis and with the cascade effects, because it's sure that every crisis today has a cascade effect. With, for instance, we know that problem of water resilience can lead to a pandemic,
Absolutely.
for instance, or to stop all our ports, the droughts, because of the level of the water, such a kind of thing. So we are having also developing many scenarios to foresight it, to know. So if we have this, then the cascade effect will be this, and this. And how to communicate with our people, our citizens. When it comes to the firefighters, it's key. And it's very patient, topics. I can assure you, everywhere I go, the firefighters, the volunteers, is really something sensitive and which is dear to many, many countries. And it creates a base of volunteers, and we are already collaborating with mechanism and predisposition firefighters. For instance, even countries that are not member of the European Union, Moldavia, for instance, have participated to combat the firefighters and predispositioning in Greece the last summer. So it's crazy what we are able to do, with them as participating states. I met there last week. They want to have one helicopter from the rescue capacities, because they want to also to be part of the mechanism, UCPM mechanism. When it comes to the youngest, we want to create what I call the young volunteers, heroes. To have built on the Erasmus Plus and the Solidarity volunteers, we have another program where we can add the preparedness curricula, and then we will have young or younger who are going to travel from one country to another and to learn, because if you go to Italy, you will learn the best UCPM mechanism, the civil protection mechanism, to deal with earthquake, for instance, but not in Belgium. We are much more specialized on CBRN threat or floods. If you go to Finland, they have a good preparation for war, because their borders with Russia, and so this will create more awareness, but it's not about to create a sense of panic throughout the population, but on the contrary, to have a population which is well informed, which is capable to also detect, for instance, what we call the MIFI, misinformation and manipulation from foreign interferences, and also, manipulation. If we have youngers who says that this is fake news and so on, then it will contribute to our democratic system in a positive manner. So,
I mentioned this, as a port we are very important for all military transport passes via commercial ways. So we own most of the land in the port itself. We are an operator. You see the bridges, you see the locks. We also a regulating role. I myself have a certain police authority here. Just to give an idea of some things that happen, this is a major oil pollution. It was kept very well under control. The worst thing that happened was that it smelled bad. Up to Brussels, but it smelled bad. Container cranes, that's another risk, difficult to get under control. Very vulnerable there. When we think of dangerous goods, we think of transportation. On the left bank side and one in West Flanders. That's the energy hub. Control that we can call each other when it's necessary. Developing plans, view the circle to the other side. Yes? because that helps you a whole lot with the development of the plans.
Voilà. Donc, avec cette grande importance stratégique des ports, de la région portuaire, il est choqué. Et il y a aussi les changements climatologiques et avec tous les risques d'inondation.
That this anticipation is important, coping is very important, adaptation is important. But I think one thing is very important too, and that's how do you manage unexpected situations? Help organizations to reliably cope with adverse events. In 2020, at the start of COVID, we were in a research project in those days to get brigade and the fire chief to implement those elements that we learned about leadership and how to steer a network. A survey to all the management team, members of the management team, excuse me, and we asked them to fill it in, and then we went into a 2-day work.
Yeah, maybe it was not the best.
So we have a demonstration ongoing. So we have at this moment 3 in service, and we have 6 new vessels. So the vessel that you see now is diesel powered. We sail with a crew of 3 people on board. So you have a captain, someone who is handling the lines far. So it's actually quite impressive. And this is a necessity for maritime firefighting. So for instance, if a vessel is burning, the fire department can tackle it from the land side, but we also need to be able to bring water from the water side where fire trucks cannot go. Chemical fire or something. We have also a water spray on deck that we can use to turn on deck. You see it in a bit during the demo, which we can use to keep the vessel alongside the quay. But
On a l'exemple public privé.
L'idée c'est quoi? C'est de vérifier si le port peut répondre à toute situation
de crise. Oui, oui. Comme on a quand même des entreprises Céveso, 90 entreprises Céveso, c'est beaucoup. Donc qui traitent de produits chimiques dangereux. On a aussi une centrale nucléaire à Doul et on a la proximité d'une ville d'un demi-million d'habitants. Donc voilà, on a un microcosme parfait ici.
Impressionnant.
Oui, oui. Mais j'étais jamais venue ici en capacité de ministre. Et pourtant, j'ai parlé beaucoup du plan. Parce qu'à chaque mission économique, il y a des partenariats.
Oui, oui. Mais Annelies est venue ce matin. Je vais pas. Non, enfin, elle va être là aussi demain parce que c'est le président de Singapour.
But of a newer generation. And then the one here right before us is Volta 1. Volta may hint, it's a fully electrically driven boat. We will step on board, we will visit the engine room, material and bring the water ashore. And in other instances we will use the two monitors on top to spray water as in the demonstration.
Yeah, a bit more.
Big batteries, huh?
Count four of them.
Yes, so it will enter here and then the captain will connect. Mechanic, they will wear headphones to be able to not have any hearing damage. And you will notice that these are engines. So I said it's fully electric, fully drained, and they have to come home. They can use it in a sort of, let's call it a hybrid fashion. So the diesels on board, they can also charge the batteries, but we would prefer to have it from the plug on the key. So that's a bit of a downside. So we have two engines, so it's a fully redundant system. And then this here, two monitors, now it's fully redundant, so we have, in case of the one that we are on board of right now, we have the hydro tug, which is powered by hydrogen, in collaboration with CMB, also a Belgian company, highly specialized in these gases. And then we have converted quite an old vessel to use methanol as a fuel. A cooperative sort of...
It's like a UCCM mechanism at the level of...
As of today, we haven't yet purchased the question ever come, can you come to the River Scheldt to assist in an emergency operation? Of course. Absolutely. The rest here is the steering. Many people, they start as a deckhand and they work themselves up to the captain of the vessel. I'm not completely familiar with the details, but the people they work here, they usually graduate with some type of maritime diploma. It may be from secondary education or maybe from the different type of propulsion. So people are trained on one of the two or both. But you cannot just transition from one to the other without the training program. So we have a couple of people from... No, it's totally separate. Oka is really for the big diameter lines. It's 20,000 liters that's coming out of that every minute. Yeah. Yes, we are now working together with...
And it comes from there as well?
Yes,
or not?
so when we saw in
so
the...
you have four.
Yeah, up. That's where it comes up. To the monitor and then this. As I said, you just tick the box firefighting in the ordering of the vessel, but everything you see in the red pipe here is custom designed. So for instance, we were not able to have it come up here because it's too big of a change from the original. So we can step off the vessel and walk.
No. You should follow, Ben. You have to go right here.
Companies. So normally they only operate, we call it in their own backyard, on the own site
They came
of
just
the
for
company.
us, so...
Or a demonstration, but also
Yeah.
So it's a Paragon. If there was a case in Paragon, it would be a case in Paragon.
Use it.
we can see all the incidents that are on. So that's a big difference. Now we focus on coordination. This is one of the most important things we do. And
yeah, you can press on the intervention. They've made a mock action mechanism as well as from the fire services as well.
and they are trained for night flights. They have all the drones available.
Yeah. But you use drones only for images and pictures, not for...
We can also use them for measuring. So then we work together with civil protection.
I think air samples as well.
Yeah, air samples. Yeah. And we also use them, but it's not completely allowed by legislation. We also use them to bring, for example, a small rope from our 3D printed piece we put on the drone.
But operationally speaking, we walk around the container.
So this is the multiple, multidisciplinary
The most important tool, the Swiss Army knife, let's call it, for the industrial emergencies, is the foam firefighting engine. An example from Hulpverlening Solo-Waasland, of which is
then above there's a large scale monitor, we call it, and they can bring water on both sides. So this is, well, it makes a lot of sound. It falls that has the oil basically. What we are doing, we are working on the transition.
For evacuations, persons need
like confined spaces.
This one is from Professor. It's one of the founding members of the fire service network. It's one of the 5 companies we have with a full-time fire service fleet on site. This is one of them.
The information so that we have action needs everything from the books. Then we see it live. Yes.
What's happening, so you can see exactly.
So you wouldn't say, but this vehicle is already 12 years old.
We can take place behind the vehicles if we want to make some final statements for the press. We have it's like
The safest position it can be at this moment.
We are in good hands.
Exactly.